All right, I think we're live. Ignore the mess of a hairdo I got going on right now. All right, I think we are live. Let me just plug this again because people are probably confused. Let's see. All right, here we go. Hello, everybody. Hello. So, today, switching up how we do the stuff. Beginning live is going to be how we always do it, right? Also, am I loud? Am I too loud for you guys right now? Where's the volume sitting at? I think I should be okay. Anyways, so here's how we're doing the streams. We're going to go through the chapter, give general thoughts on the chapter. You guys give some thoughts, and then we're going to do, after about 30 minutes on here, we're going to jump to the Discord, and we're going to be doing our discussion stage, where you guys come up and you give us a hot take, and we'll debate it. We talk about it, or a hot take, or a theory, or all this stuff. You'll go through, and we'll talk for about 10 minutes each take, and then we'll drop some people, bring some new people on. We'll just keep doing that until we hit about an hour 15, maybe hour 30, depends on how we go. I think it'll be fun. Excuse me. Anamasu is going to be joining me in a little bit. He's, I think he's like waking up, getting ready for the morning right now. So he'll join me in a little bit. But until then, you got me. We got the chapter. We got some discussion there. And then we have the Discord stage here where people can just request to pull up. And then they'll be pulled up here and they give us a hot take or whatever. I'll give it about 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. Just go through the chat right now. We'll go through the chat, look at some stuff, see what you guys have to say. What do you think Nagi will do to become a villain against BLUELOCK? So I think it's a metaphorical villain. I think Nagi will still represent BLUELOCK, and he is going to represent BLUELOCK, but I think he'll be representing in a false light to the purpose of Nagi and the Burū 3 is to show that ego isn't necessary for Japan to do good. So he wants to create a second BLUELOCK project so he can train people who will eventually play on the national team. And if those players do good, they reinforce the idea that you don't need ego to do that. And he's just wasting money. He's a wasted character because you don't need him. If Burū can make these guys as good as ego can, then he doesn't need ego. And that's the point we're going towards. Sorry, I'm tired. I fell asleep at like 5:30 this morning working on that chapter review video, which you haven't seen. Go check it out. You'll have my more like first-hand thoughts on the chapter live then. But that's how I think Nagi's going to be portrayed. Nightwolf, you say these guys are frauds. If they don't turn it around, my respect for them is gone. See, I called them frauds. I have been calling them frauds. I called them frauds back a week and a half ago. I called them frauds. And people were like, it's too early. You can't call them frauds. It's too early in the game. You can't call them frauds. Well, we're only about 5 chapters in, but we're at halftime. when can I start calling them a fraud? Right? Like, we're about halfway through the game. Can I call them a fraud now? Like, where's the timer? Where's the timer to where I can be like, oh, now they're frauds? Like, we're over halfway through. We're over through, time-wise, halfway through the game. Yeah, Eternal, you're right. Baratsura can't do what Ego does, but to the vast scope of the community, they don't care. They're going to see that Baratsura picked these characters and how these players are just as easy, or not just as good as Ego's. Like, he picks Nagi, Kira, Sai. He doesn't need Ego because these characters are on their own without Ego's training. All the stuff that he's been built up for, he's not needed. They could do it on their own. That's the purpose and reason that he would get to fire Ego. Not frauds, Blue Lock show up. I think that I would say they're frauds a little bit. I would say they're frauds just a little bit. They're frauds in the scope of like what we thought they were. Like, okay, we built them up as like, oh, Africa's champions. They're the best team in Africa, and they are. They got the cup. They got the African Cup, the U20 African Cup. They won that. They were Africa's champions, yes, but they're not all that good. They're not. So like, that's the thing here. He didn't pick Sai though. Yes, he did. He picked Sai to be a member of the Baratsura 3. But I get what you're saying. He didn't pick Sai and build Sai up from zero. But it's not. But it's still a matter of how society would look at them. If you had to think about how many chapters there are, and there's probably going to be more. Could we say Blue Lock? I don't know what you mean. Season 3 is confirmed. Season 3 is confirmed. Is currently in production. We know that. And this chapter confirms Onazi is a genius. Yeah, he's always been confirmed a genius. I think he's a restrictive genius. I think. Alright. I think we had some people here. Let's get into the chapter. Alright. So, the chapter is titled, I've Got This on Lock. And the announcer says, with 2 back-to-back goals, the young Japanese team is in the lead. With 10 minutes left in the first half, can Nigeria make a counterattack or will Japan pull further ahead? We see the crowd is roaring in excitement. The timer is currently at 35 minutes and the ball has been placed at center field. The play kicks off with Onazi passing the ball to Kuso as the announcer says time to battle it out for the last 10 minutes of the first half as Isagi rushes in to challenge Onazi. Kuso says, after all this, it's quite clear to me that without a doubt, Blue Lock is the strongest team we've ever faced. The source of that strength lies in the 3 guys along the field's center line. Yoichi Isagi, Karasu Tabito, and Oliver Aiku. These 3 have such high soccer IQ and take a broader view of the game as they calmly use their intellects and logic to analyze our tactics. They then initiate switches between offense and defense to control the structure of this match. On top of that unshakable foundation are the 2 spears of unfettered imagination and explosive speed. Then there's the unpredictable destructive genius, the imitative artisan, and the cool-headed left-footed passer. Finally, at the backline are 2 contrasting elite defenders who couldn't be more unlike from each other. But the one holding this hodgepodge of circus freaks is undeniably Yoichi Isagi. Now, I will say this. This is a page that was left out of the leaks. And it very much so annoys me about the leakers for that context. Because if their translations are so good, right, they should be able to see that the transition for dialogue moves into another page, or that the dialogue doesn't overlap grammatically correct. I don't know, it seems something that should be obvious, right? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I also love these kinds of like inky blotch style characters. I love how cool these things look. Anyways, Kuso then says his skills are born from his brain and adaptability. Unless we can crush that ringleader, Nigeria cannot win this. And he sends across while being pressed by Karasu around Raie over to Onazi. Onazi traps it while being pressured by Bachara and Shigiri, and we transition back into their backstory, where Bello says, "Holy crap, Onazi, did you play soccer before?" And he was like, "No, that was my first time." And then Kuso says, "You must be a prodigy." And Ubaboni is like, "Whoa." Shigiri says, or not, Bello continues as Shigiri presses Onazi, who hits a back pass to Bello, and he says, "If we have Onazi, do you think we can go pro?" And he says, "Dream bigger, we can win the World Cup." Bello does a one-touch pass over again, as Yori is pressured by Bello, and Obaboni is back here, and he says, "Then maybe we can turn this life around and get richer." And then Kuso says, "Obviously, Obo, then we can buy anything and go anywhere." And Obaboni says, like, tasty food or pretty girls, and then Bello says, "I want to have a huge house." Onazi then says, "Come on, guys, it's not that simple. Just going pro is crazy hard." And Bello says, "Huh? But we've got you, Onazi." And Obaboni says, "Yeah, you're here, Onazi." And he's like, "What?" Kirsten says, "That's right. It's fine because you're here. I feel like I can dream big now. I'm sure you've been chosen by fate. You're our shining hope." And then Onazi says, "I'm here." We see 2 magazine articles of Nigeria's new generation where they win 6-0 with Onazi on the cover. We see Onazi take a shot again on another magazine where he's called Luminous Onazi. And on this page, they have won the African U20 Cup. And we see all of them celebrating as he says, "I'm here." And they're screaming in excitement. There's 1 minute of additional time that's added to the game as Kuso says, "Time to drive it home." Onazi's weapon is his overwhelming momentum due to his extraordinary heart and lungs, and above all, his natural jumping and flexibility that make mid-air plays possible. Kuso whips across while being pressed by Karasu here, around audio as it flies over to Onazi here as Isagi is trailing back with Aiku there. And he says, the greatest reason why Onazi is a striker is that his ability to shoot in midair effectively doubles his shot area. And we see Onazi here with Isagi and Aiku pressing him, and Isagi is a little shocked, and he says, "I'm surpassing you, Yoichi Isagi." And as he winds up, Gagamaru is here. He claps the gloves together and says, "Bring it on," as we transition into his training and backstory, where he says, "Gingagamaru, you're still just using your talent to fight. Acquire a goalkeeper's body by undergoing some special batting practice." And we see that he's wearing 2 baseball gloves instead of catcher mitts, and there's a blue lock pitching machine which is firing up baseballs towards the ground that bounce towards random areas. He says, "Baseballs are much faster and smaller than soccer balls, so this will hone my reaction speed. I feel like my eyes and body are working 1.5 times faster. Once I grab it, I return to the middle. Another one shoots out, and he catches it. He says, not just my head, learn it with my body." Kuso screams, "Go," as Onazi takes a shot, and he says, "Go, shining hope." He takes a shot, and it goes towards the right corner of the net as Onazi shoots over Isagi. Onazi smiles, and Gagamaru says, "Oh, nice shot." The ball flies over, and he says, "Its trajectory is tilting upwards." And then he says, "Oh, but my body's moving on its own." Actually, this ball is moving slower than the baseballs. This puny shot can't slip past me. I am Japan's guardian deity. As he blocks it with ease. The ball goes out of bounds. Onazi is shocked. Isagi is happy. The ref blows the whistle, and the first half ends as the crowd roars in excitement. Kuso is shocked, and Gagamaru says, "I've got this on lock." So, the first half has ended. Japan is 2-0 in the lead. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Because, honestly, there's so much I'd like to talk about in relation to this specifically. I think that excuse me. I think that this moment here might solidify Nigeria not getting a single goal this game. Like, seriously. You think it's... How crazy is it that, like... They underwent what would be their best play for an awakening. And... No. They failed. Like, that was a really bad performance. That was a really bad performance by them. Let me peep some stuff. Yeah. This is concerning for them, to be honest. Because, like, okay, they're going into the first game, or the second half, 2-0. If BLUELOCK scores a third, yeah, I think it's over for Nigeria. Like, I need to know what's going to happen going into the next chapter for them. It makes me wonder, all right, hear me out on this. Hear me out. Do you think next chapter, it's called I Want to Win. Next chapter is called I Want to Win. I could see there being a situation where Onazi starts to get really upset, kind of like he did when he was a kid, and then they lock back in. But even then, I think it could be a very interesting situation to have, God, I'm blanking. Oh, to have them freak out, they go back onto the pitch with a new awakening, with a new mindset, right? Or new mentality. But also, I could see BLUELOCK doing some subs in the second half. Like, we just got this explanation of the full team dynamic, right? And I think that there is a good possibility that from this we could see a swap. And if I'm being honest, when it comes to a swap, I feel like Hiyori is definitely the person who's going to get brought off here. Hiyori or Chigiri, because in relation to the scope of what they've been doing, they haven't done, like, as much, I think. Plus, I think for Chigiri, you could definitely swap in someone like Shido. I think Shido would work well. For Hiyori, I think they might want to up the pressure on them. They might try to up the pressure. So I think putting someone very physical there would be good, like Raie or Kinigami. I think that they are definitely good picks for a sub if it were to happen. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking going into this. It's too early for Ego to show his other cards. Yeah, I'm thinking that too. But also, like, where's the pressure, right? I want us to see some subs happen. I want us to experience BLUELOCK in its full capacity. Because BLUELOCK is really good right now. I like to see them have a challenge. And they don't have that right now. So I want to see them switch something up going into another challenge. You know what I mean? Shido shouldn't come on while Rain is on the pitch. They clash. Not entirely. They clash in relation to working together. They don't work well together. Like, they have, but they don't work well together. I could easily see Hiyori getting swapped off for Shido. I could easily see it. And Raie Raie dropping back and Shido moving up. I don't know. You think Nigeria might have a super sub, like a wild card to change the tide? I don't think so. I think it definitely doesn't seem likely. Like, it only seems 4 people that are confident. I think that it doesn't make sense. Also, yeah, someone pointed it out. No one's sweating yet, which is kind of crazy. Oh, no, well, okay. Nigeria is sweating a bit, but BLUELOCK isn't. Yeah, BLUELOCK isn't sweating yet. Well, Nigeria is not really sweating either. Which, to me, feels a little bit unrealistic, because, like, in the PXG game, sure, the game was a little higher level and way more intense, but none of them were they were sweating in 30, like, okay, that game only lasted, like, 37 minutes. That game was fully done in less than a half, and now we've reached a half, and now they're not sweating here. Like, I guess they did a lot of training, but the training shouldn't boost them that much, you know what I mean? Because, like, it makes me wonder, where would these characters scale in the NEL? Like, what would the dynamics be then? Like, what happens if you had... Okay, take everyone's current development right now, put them on the teams in the NEL. What do you think? Do you think we're getting a like, to what capacity do you think we'll get a different outcome in terms of best and worst team? I think it'd be very interesting. But yeah, I also think that if they do a sub, it would be for the purpose of just showing, like, as Bursa said, the reveal of everyone's training. I think that that's definitely something that would happen in the scope of putting a sub on, just for the narrative purpose of understanding the training. But yeah, all right. I think it's time we get some people on the stage. So join the Discord server and join the stage. All right. Okay. We'll give it about a minute. We'll give it about a minute, and we'll get everyone in here, and then I'll pull people up as they request to be here, and we'll just hear their hot takes or theories for the thing. I will say the max I'd want to have one person on is about like 2-3 minutes, like 10 minutes. I'd want to say about 10 minutes. I'd say at most. So if you guys want to join the discussion stage, feel free to go to the Discord. Join the discussion stage, and then request to come up, and I'll pull you up, and we'll have some fun. We'll have some takes. All right, Raggy wants to come up. All right, let's get Raggy up here. Hello.
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
You good, man?
So I personally, I don't even know if this is really a hot take or not, but firstly, I think Nigeria will get a goal at some point, and I think Kuso's going to play a major role in it.
Yeah,
but that's kind of going off of vibes of like Nigeria kind of being the protagonists so far.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah.
And my second thing is I personally think there aren't going to be any substitutes for Japan, or at least none that are super important, because considering it's been half of the match so far, and ignoring Isagi because we've kind of got his U20 World Cup training. We've had Bachara, Raie, Gagamaru, Aru, and Nico. So that's half of the team, like not including Isagi. So I'm assuming the rest, like the second half of the match, will mostly just be focusing on the other 5 players who we haven't seen the training results of yet.
Yeah. I'll say this. I think a goal from Nigeria, while narratively it would make sense, I think the dialogue in this chapter hints at it not happening. Like, how would he... Why would... Like, this was apparently, like, their step towards an awakening for Nigeria, right? And even then, Gagamaru's like, this shot can't... This puny shot can't slip past me, and he blocks it with ease. And then he says, I've got this on lock. You think that he's going to just turn around and get scored on in the next half? I feel like it's a little crazy.
I basically think, just to like be quick, obviously, but I basically think that Nigeria is going to realize that relying on Onazi doesn't work anymore, and they're going to do some play, and maybe they won't score, but at minimum they'll get like closer to scoring than like ever before in the match.
Gotcha. Okay. See, I'm very like, I came into this thinking Nigeria was going to be a good game of like, okay, BLUELOCK is now competing on the world stage. They did all this training and they're just still barely there, and they improve over the games. I didn't think it'd be a wash like this. And then Nigeria, I'm counting them as frauds, because like, people are like, oh, well, you know, we're only 5 chapters into the game. You can't really say they're frauds. Okay, but we're entering the second half now. Like, we've effectively completed in universe half the game, and this is what they've shown for it. I think at that point it's justifiable to make a claim of them being frauds. And they're like, well, BLUELOCK's so good. Okay, but BLUELOCK also, less than a year ago, were just high schoolers. Like, you have to compare. Yes, they were competing on a very high stage in the NEL, right? but they were still only competing at the club level. Like all those, they were very good clubs, sure, but they were still clubs. Like like for Bastion München, right? The only characters there who are world class, comparably for like a representative team, are Kaiser and Ness. Everyone else on that team isn't comparable to a world class team. They're club level. So the fact of some people saying, "Oh, well, they've competed against world class players," no, they competed with a couple of them. Lorenzo, Kaiser, Ness, Agi, Lorenzo, and Charles. That's it. Those are the only characters that they played alongside who are going to be representing their who should represent their national team. I can't see fucking Birkenstock representing Germany's national team, right? Like, but the fact that Nigeria, not so-called because they've been shown, the U20 African Cup champions, the Kings of Africa, are getting destroyed by Japan with a team that didn't even exist a year ago. That weren't even like that a year ago. It's crazy to me. And I think that's deserving of them being called frauds. You know what I mean?
I basically think, as like a final point, because obviously I basically think that Nigeria has sort of been given the Nagi treatment in the sense of they've performed really well in a specific stage, and they've got like 6-0 or whatever it was against whatever teams in Africa. And it's kind of showing now that they've gone here into the world stage, they aren't able to keep up. And I think that it literally in like the like lore of Blue Lock or whatever, in the canon, they have been overhyped because of their success in their country, in their continent. And now that they've moved onto the world stage, they can't play at that same level.
Yeah. It's also okay. There's a running point that Nigeria is so good because they outplayed or outperformed two new Gen 11s who are also residing in African countries. And it makes me wonder, right, on that point specifically, of I don't see. Okay, if we're assuming the new generation 11 are comparable to Sai, Kaiser, Lorenzo, and the little bit of what we've seen from Bunny, right? If we're to assume that they're on that same level, what's crazy is that these guys apparently were able to beat them. I don't get that, because from what we've seen, Blue Lock's strong, sure, but if you just put Kaiser out there, I think Kaiser's stopping them. You put Lorenzo out there, Lorenzo is stopping them. Like, that's the point I'm making, is that I don't see how these guys could beat the other new generation 11 when right now what we're seeing, they don't seem that skilled. Like, okay, for example, would you say that like Ness and Kaiser have better or at least equal to predictive ability to current Karasu and Aiko? Not so much Isagi, because Isagi's a different thing, but
yeah, I mean, I would say that like as like a minimum base level, I would say that Ness and Kaiser should be around Karasu and Aiku and that kind of
level. So in that regard, are we to assume that since Karasu and Aiku can predict these actions and plays and have become the focal points of these respective lines, that Kaiser and Ness wouldn't also be able to do the same thing? Like,
I think what we're gonna see is, it's kind of annoying because there's too many new gens for the matches, but if Blue Lock or Japan plays, is it whichever countries have the new gens?
Like there's England. England has one, and then they're gonna have to face off against Spain for Bunny.
Yeah,
and then probably Italy and Germany for Lorenzo and Kaiser. That's my guesses.
But I think that if Japan does play against one of the new gen countries from new gen countries from Africa, I think we might even get some specific dialogue where they go into depth of like Japan or maybe just whoever underestimates them because they got beaten by Nigeria, and then at some point it gets revealed that like the new gen was injured and couldn't play or something like that, and that's how they become a more imposing team.
Yeah. I think another thing is that they could be a situation where it is like it would be like a Kaiser situation, just without Ness, to where they're one really, really strong player, but the rest of the team kind of sucks, and they're kind of doing what Nigeria is doing here, thrusting all of their hope on Onazi, where these other teams put all their faith in the new Gen 11 skilled player.
Yeah.
And no matter how bad they are, one person isn't stopping a 4v1. They're not.
Yeah, well, I think at minimum, the new gen, like whichever team had the new gen, probably isn't the team that got 6-0'd. I think that's a fair shout.
Yeah. I think it also is very... I don't think Kaneshiro planned this far. Because I think he wanted to have Nigeria be built up, but I think the mention of the other new generation 11 in Africa, and then to say these guys are the kings of Africa, and therefore, I guess, relative or scale relatively to them, is disingenuous. And I think that's a definite flaw in the specific writing of this point, but that's just me. I don't.
Yeah, I think whether or not whatever happens, I personally would have preferred Nigeria to be a closer match. Where we see that Japan is now able to compete at the world level, but that it is a step up from the NEL. But obviously, because I now feel like the issue is, unless they give Germany and Spain and whatever else a notable amount of other good players, it's like realistically, but by the time Japan faces Germany, Kaiser and Ness are not going to be enough to be a threat.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think it just comes down to, honestly, I think we will be able to see a new Gen 11 told outside the Blue Lock story in terms of the scope of the team. I want to see, I think it'd be very interesting to have us get a match, even if it's not long, of Kaiser and Ness, so Germany versus another team of new Gen 11s, to kind of keep the flowing of the story without having to introduce every new generation 11 through the outlet of Blue Lock, and instead can tell it through the outlet of another team that's related to them in this context. Like, you can have Kaiser and Ness be the duo for Germany. We get to see their chemical reaction, their new team up, their improvements in the 50 days that's from the NEL to now. And we'll get to see a new generation 11 told outside of Blue Lock that isn't relevant to them.
Yeah, I want that. And especially because Kaiser's a restrictive type, you kind of need other good players to be on his team.
Yeah, well, also, Ness can also put him into restriction while solo focusing him, but just putting him in places where he needs to get into an uncomfortable position for his development. I think that's also something. But yeah, I appreciate you coming up here, man. Appreciate it.
No, yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. Appreciate you coming up. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. We got Nightwolf. Get in here, right? Get in here, bro. Hello?
Hello.
Hey, man. We can hear you. How you doing?
Hello.
Hello? Can you hear? Hello, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. I was assuming that it didn't hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Or is it a lie?
Yeah, just I would say don't listen to the YouTube video and just listen to our call. I would say listen to.
Will not be top 5.
You don't think Nagi will be top 5? I'll say this, man. You gotta don't use the YouTube stream for reference. Use this Discord call. So I would say mute the YouTube stream since it's delayed by like 20 seconds.
So now I think is that Nagi will not be top 5 in the Japanese World Cup.
So you don't. Okay. Do you? Okay. Define like not be top 5, because there's people who I think will not be top 5, but I think will have a top 5 performance. If that makes sense. Like I think they will have the best moments in the U20 World Cup, but still scaled. They won't be like okay. Not the top 5 players, not the top 5 best players, but the top 5 best performances, if that makes sense. Do you think Nagi's not a top 5 best player in the World Cup or not a top 5 best performance? Okay, man, I'm gonna need you to start using the Discord. Alright, he dipped. Alright. Anyone else want to come up? Yeah, he kind of pulled down a little bit. I don't know what was happening there, but if you guys want to come onto the stream, and also should be here shortly, I hope. If not, no, I'll just read the chat. We'll just go through chat. We'll have some time because remember, yeah, this is it's on a Tuesday. Some people are in school right now. Like when I was in high school, I used to get out at like 1:30. That's when I used to get out. So, do you guys have any in the chat? Shoot your hot takes. Give me your questions. I'll go through and I'll just give my thoughts on your takes there. While we wait for more people to show up here and want to get in the call and pop up. Germany is beating Japan. Yeah, see, that's my prediction too. I think Germany will be the final. I think the finals will be Germany versus Japan in the U20 World Cup. And the reason I say that is because I'll pull up here. We go all the way back to chapter 1. When we look at the... I'm pretty sure if we look at like the speech with Ego. The stuff wants to load. Very bad Wi-Fi right now. Here we go. Yeah, so I think this is where it'll become important. I think at this point here, because the beginning was Japan versus Germany, I think this will be the finals of the U20 World Cup. Especially since Ego says you're at the last match of the World Cup. Sure, it's not the U20 World Cup, but it's the World Cup. And I think that this would definitely be something interesting to have happen. I think France would be in the semis, and Germany would be in the finals. Do you think we'll get Rain and Sai versus Bunny, Itoshi brothers against the Bunny Egoist? Yeah, I think Sai and Rain will have to come together to beat Bunny. I want to see Shido and Sai fail together to form a chemical reaction. Not form a chemical reaction, but fail to produce any kind of effective result from a chemical reaction. And then it results in Rain and Sai having to fix their bond as brothers and try and, get more in line together to beat Bunny. For the purpose of, Sai wants to beat Bunny, Rain wants to win the game. This is how we make that happen. Who do I think we'll face in the knockout stage and what order? I want to see... I want to see Italy. I want to see Botto versus Lorenzo. I need that. I need Botto versus Lorenzo so bad. I need it so bad. I want to see it. I need it. It's one of my most anticipated matchups in the U20 World Cup. I want to see them match up against each other. Until we see Chigity's U20 World Cup training results, I don't personally think Chigity has more potential than Bachata. Curvis, I think the only issue that comes with that point is I don't think that Chigity's training could be expanded upon anymore because he just simply needed to go swimming to build up his body a little more. Bachata's was a little different because we saw Bachata's, and Bachata's was literally training with kids. Why does he want him to train with kids? Well, we found that out because it was a little less obvious, but Chigity going swimming, it's like that's good stamina training for people. For sprinters, it's good to help them build up lactic acid. It helps them be better. Helps them condition their body more, helps them build up strength. It makes sense why he was tasked with going swimming. So it's not an explosive increase in skill. Because you gotta remember, Chikity's biggest weakness when it came to how he plays was simply his injury. And his injury holding him back, and the results of him giving up on soccer for so long and not training. Yeah, I think that Chikity's training is definitely just more conditioning than anything. But yeah, you know what? I think we can call the thing here. We had about 40 minutes of dialogue. You know, we had some good engagement with people. I think it was fun. I keep forgetting that this is on a Tuesday, so not a lot of people are going to be available to jump on the call and, you know, engage as most people would. But I appreciate all you guys for making it while you could. You know, actually, hold up. OP wants to speak. I'll get OP in here before we call it off. Get one more person in. OP!
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. W stream first I want to say.
Oh, yeah,
And
appreciate you making it, man.
no problem. I was actually on my way to work, so I tried to get in as quick. But chapter was great. Something I want to say is, what route do you think Nigeria is gonna take? Is it gonna be like abandoning Onazi to make themselves better, or try to evolve Onazi even more?
I think the route they'll go is Onazi's portrayed as a shining ray of light. So instead of giving everything to the shining ray of light, they do like the Bado thing where they use the light as a distraction or as bait, so to let other people shine. Like I could totally see Bello scoring a goal off of a Kuso assist by using Onazi as bait. Because the entire game they've been passing only to Onazi. Give it to Onazi, let him score. So why not use Onazi as bait to score? So instead of letting Onazi score, let us score using Onazi. That makes sense?
Oh yeah, 100%. I like that. I'm really leaning the same way of them like using Onasi in some type of way, like not using him as passive him, but some other type of solution. And I really, really believe Kuso's gonna score. Because going back to the backstory now, we see that Onasi gets his praise from Kuso. He was the
Mm-hmm.
originator. So I think it's gonna be some play where like not power of friendship, but going from I'm here to we're here. I think that's gonna
Yeah.
be the development.
Yeah. All right. What do you think is more likely? Do you think Onazi is more likely to awaken Predator Eye or Kuso to awaken Metavision?
I honestly think Kuso Metavision.
You think Kuso
Cause
Metavision?
yeah, because we've seen he's like the thinker. Of course, like every team needs a thinker, but I really think that Kuso grasping these plays, these world level plays, like even if he's slow in doing it, like he can't do it mid play, he has to wait till after to actually figure it out. I think that's closer to him getting Metavision than Onazi, who seems more like this is my headcanon, but I think Onazi's a freedom type because he likes having multiple shooting options
Nah,
and he's like being in the air very open.
I disagree. I think he's a restrictive.
Really?
Well, like, look at his backstory. Like, the moment of the backstory, he had never played soccer before, but because Kuso basically put him into the restriction of, oh, just go live by yourself, be alone. He was restricted by that mentality, and he broke free from it and performed that play, having never touched soccer before or done anything with soccer before. Like, they're doing kind of what they did with Kaiser. They're pushing him into a freedom environment when he needs to be put into a restrictive one. And I think that's going to lead into the next chapter called I Want to Win, where I think Onazi's depression or like that sad that restrictive mentality that he had in as a kid when Kuso made fun of him and made him lock in, I feel like that's going to get highlighted there and brought out. I think that's definitely something that makes sense.
I actually think you're cooking because I like full heartedly believe his playstyle right now is freedom. But you might be right that he is a restrictive type, and them putting the spotlight on him this much isn't working in his favor. So abandoning him to evolve him, I can see that working out actually.
Yeah, because like I also think it's the logic. Okay, he's put on as a shining ray of hope, like a shining light, a beacon, luminous Onazi, right? And I think another reason why it'll lead into Onazi being used as bait, because think of him like a stage light. He's center stage, he shines a light on everything. But if you look too much at a stage light, you miss everything else around you. Like if you look directly at a stage light, you won't be able to see anything else. That's what I think that they're doing, is that going into this next half, they're going to have Onazi be used as bait to where it'll be like, oh, our shining ray of light, Onazi, right? But you focus too much on the light, you miss everyone else who's not in it. And you'll have Bello and Kuso, and maybe even Obabonia comes up to involve himself. But I think a Kuso assist to a Bello goal seems likely, because Bello has done very, very little as of now, and I feel like he needs to have some importance to keep him equal relevance to the other guys. You know what I mean? Because it's really just the Bello and Kuso. It's really just the Onazi and Kuso show right now. Like, Bello's not getting any appreciation, and I feel like if he's considerable to them, with how important he was in this last play, I think it makes sense to have him being of some importance. And that's just me. But Raven said something earlier. I think it's very funny. I think it's something to talk about here. Raven says Kuso is worse than NEL Yukimiya. Where do we stand on this?
Looking at their like dribbling feats, like Kuso's only. Oh, I wanted to say no against this, but now that I'm thinking about it, like Kuso's only dribbling feat is getting past Bachira twice. Like I'm pretty sure that's it, right?
He dribbled around Isagi and Raie, but he didn't really like face them directly. He just kind of like moved around them.
Oh yeah, at the start. Yeah, so
I
that's
think
all he has, and then
I think honestly, I think it's close, but I think Kuso's a little bit better than Yuki. I think when it comes to Yukimiya is underrated. I think Yukimiya is very underrated, and I think that he's not god tier, but he's definitely like mid in terms of like a middle ground. He's not a like if you had an option of characters, Yukimiya wouldn't be your first pick, but he's definitely a pick that you could go with and be like, okay, well, not crazy. He's got Predator Eye, he's got good dribbling, he's got decent shooting technique, he's got really good speed, he's strong, technical. I think he's not a bad on paper character. And I think just in terms of what Kuso is capable of, I think Kuso's... Because remember, this is an unawakened Kuso versus an awakened Yukimiya. Like, Yukimiya awakened and he got Predator Eye. So we're comparing awakened Yukimiya to an unawakened Kuso, and I still think that Kuso is still slightly above Yuki. But that's just me.
I think Kuso has the potential. It's like I'm looking at like from impact on a play, where like Yukimiya is a good strike. I would say he's like top of B, like class striker. So he's not with the A's, but he's definitely good.
Yeah, like A tier. S tier. I would say U20, Isagi, Raie, Kaiser, Loki, maybe throw Bado in there, right? Then for like A tier, I would say Shido, Chigiri, Bachira, Kunigami, Nagi, peak like good Nagi. And then B tier, I would put someone like Yukimiya in B tier. B tier feels like good range for when I'm talking about Yuki. Yeah, that's the thing. Yuki did dribble through PXG. Yuki dribbled through Manshine, and then he dribbled through PXG. He did use Isagi and beat out a Metavision Karasu. We have to give him to that. Yeah. But also Kuso here is holding off Karasu though. So what's the This is also trained BLUELOCK. We have to scale him against trained BLUELOCK.
That is true.
I still think Kuso's a little bit better. Like I did my rankings, right? Like I did when I said, "Oh, what would the Nigeria team be if they were in the NEL rankings?" I'm pretty sure I put Kuso just above Yuki.
that's a good spot for him. I think when I'm putting like the players on the team, I think Kuso is gonna make my team better than Yuki is. So I'm gonna say Kuso.
Well, I think it is just circumstantial too, because like Kuso's only good because he's with Onazi. I feel like if you take Kuso out of the context with Onazi, he's not gonna be as good. Like, depending on who you play with, your chemistry will always improve. Like, okay, let's say you were on a team with your friend versus you not being on a team with your friend when you're playing soccer. You would obviously have more fun and therefore play better on a team that you're more excited to be on, right? Like, if you had Onazi and Kuso on the same team, I think that they would have better chemistry than if they were separate. Like, I think Kuso would do worse without Onazi than he would with him. You know what I mean? Yuki doesn't have that issue. You put Yuki on any team and he's going to be fine, just because he's a character that's very neutral in that regard. Like, he's not very gung-ho about one specific character that he improves himself with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like, because they were playing with each other since childhood, so that's like a positive and a disadvantage. And I think about it like the type of passes that Kuso are sending are not passes that most people can get. Like the only people who I think could even get those passes are like Onazi, Bunny, Shido.
Is he passing in the context because Onazi can do it, or is he passing in the context because he's not is he passing because he's not like that because he's not good, or is he passing in a way that he knows Onazi can get? That's the
like passing to exploit his abilities.
Yeah.
That's a tough question. Because we just don't see him with anyone else. Like even things like even his passes to his other teammates are like not sloppy, but they're very forceful. Like to the speed guy, I forgot his name. Even his passes to him, like he uses them to exploit his teammates' speed. So I guess he does have like semi-versatile passing, but still, it's not as good as I would want from my offensive midfielder.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think we're gonna call it here, though. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you, OP, for coming up. I'm moving you down there, buddy. But yeah, I will see you guys next time we do a stream. It'll probably be next Tuesday, maybe a little earlier. It depends on how I feel. But yeah, appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys